morning. It's Monica from Life is Art, and it's Wednesday. Let's create. I am just getting everything set up here. How are you this evening? If you're watching me live, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. And if you're watching later on replay, you can say replay. It's been a busy day. We had Chat and Craft going on all morning and part of the afternoon, and that was super fun. And tomorrow is the beginning of our monthly crop, so the October crop, and we're going to be traveling across Canada looking at Canada's big landmarks. Not landmarks in the traditional sense, though, and so it should be fun. We are going to be creating tonight using one of the collections from the mini catalog, the September to December catalog. And we're going to be using the collection called Sentimental Christmas. And this collection is the Give Back collection. You've heard me speak of this before, probably. This is the Give Back collection for this year, and that means that $4, Yes, $4 from every purchase of the paper pack, whether you buy it as part of this suite or as an individual paper pack, $4 will be going to organizations that support children's literacy. And so that is super exciting. And so we're going to be using this collection today in our card, and we're going to be creating a hidden pocket centerfold card. That's what I've decided to call it. And we're also going to be using, as part of this project, the Stylish Shapes dies. We're going to be using a couple of the circles from this set to help us create our card. And I've also got a stamp set hanging out here. I haven't quite decided what sentiment I want on my card yet, but this is one of the new Christmas stamp sets that I recently purchased, and so it's got some nice sentiments on there, so that's a possibility of what I might end up putting on there. And it's called One of a Kind. It's got some fun snowflakes and lots of nice little sentiments here. So let's get started. The first thing we need for our card is a card base, and we're going to be making a standard size card, which ends up being a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card, but we're not starting it with a regular card base for this card. We are starting it with 2 pieces of cherry cobbler cardstock that are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and they are not connected together. We're going to see how that all fits in as time goes on. On the inside of my card, so this is the inside, I'm going to add some of the DSP from the Sentimental Christmas. And this is a fun one that has candy canes and berries going all the way around it. So I've gone ahead and I've cut 2 pieces that are 4 inches by 5 1/4. And these are going to get centered on the inside of these 2 panels, the front and back of our card. And this again is the inside of our card. So we're just going to go ahead and center those like that. And these are both the same size. So we're just duplicating everything front and back of the inside. Hey Ina, good evening. And there we go. And I think that's a really pretty combination. It picks up that nice cherry cobbler color in the berries and things. And it's kind of fun because it's like a little scene kind of happening, little snowflakes in the background. So that is the inside of the front and back of our card. When it's closed, this will be the front. Okay, now that we've got that ready, we need to work on a little bit of something for the inside. We said it's going to be a centerfold card. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with a piece of pretty peacock cardstock that has been cut to 12 inches by 4 1/4. So 12 inches by 4 1/4, and we're going to do some scoring on this. So I'm going to grab my Simply Scored Gonna line it up in the corner here. And we're going to do some very simple scoring with our Simply Scored. We're going to score it at 3 inches, 6 inches, and 9 inches. So we're making 4 3-inch panels on our cards. We've scored at 3, 6, and 9. And then we can put this away. And I also need to do a little bit of trimming because I want these outside panels to have an angle on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil, grab a pencil, and I'm going to mark 2 3/4 up from the bottom. So 1, 2, and 3/4 there. And then I'm going to come over to this side, mark 1, 2, and 3/4 on this side. So we're marking 2 3/4 up on either side. And then I'm going to bring in my little trimmer because it takes up a lot less room than my big trimmer. And we're going to trim, let me close that for a second. We're going to trim from this first score line down to the mark that we've created. So we're going to create an angle going down to the outside. So in order to do that, we're just going to line it up inside of our trimmer, getting that intersection of the score line and the pencil mark here at the bottom. And we'll just trim that off. And then we're going to come around to this side and we're going to trim from our score line down to the pencil mark. So line it up, score line, pencil mark, and trim that off. Okay, there we go. Let me just grab my pencil. I'll get rid of any little bits of pencil that may still be showing. Now we need to do the creasing on those score lines. In the center here, we want to create a, let me just double check, a mountain fold. So that means we're going to push the score line up the mountain, which folds our 2 pieces of paper back on themselves. And we're going to make sure everything lines up. Crease that down, give it a good score. Good creasing. So that's our mountain fold. Creates a mountain. And then these other 2 score lines are going to be valley. So we're going to push the score line down into the valley. This is going to create an accordion fold in the end. Make sure everything lines up. Crease that down good. This one, again, valley fold. So we're pushing the score line down into the valley. Make sure everything lines up and crease it down. So now we have created this accordion fold with a little bit of an angle on either side. Okay, now let's add some pattern to this. In the center 2 panels, I want to add this fun pattern with the Christmas trees. There we go. And I'm going to line it up so that they match in the center because that just makes my brain happy. So we can go ahead and add some adhesive to the backs of these. 1 and 2. This Sentimental Christmas has some really fun coordinating colors. It's got lots of greens in it. It's got, oh, let me see. There's the pretty peacock, there's shaded spruce, there's garden green, there's old olive. There's a whole list of coordinating colors. And that's super fun because you can kind of mix and match different colors. We're just going to center that in the panel. We're going to center this one. Did I even tell you what size these were? That would be useful. 2 3/4 by 4 inches. these Christmas trees out in the, looks like it's out in a snowy field. So 2 3/4 by 4 inches. One on there like that. And then we want something to decorate our outside panels. So I have the pretty peacock and garden green stripe, and I've cut it in different ways. So if you look at the pattern on the back, you will see in this instance, the Christmas trees are up and down. In this instance, the Christmas trees are sideways. And what that does is it creates 2 different angles on those stripes. And that's important because we are going to be cutting an angle. You see that? We've got an angle there. And if you cut an angle with them this way, where this diagonal stripe kind of follows that angle, but it's not exactly that angle. If I tuck it in behind, you'll see what I'm saying. You see how the stripe is not going the same angle as the angle we cut in the cardstock? That makes your eyes and your brain do weird things. We don't really like that. But if we have it going the opposite way, like this, so one is cut on the vertical and one is cut on the horizontal, then you'll see when we stick it in behind that our angle is going to be intersecting those lines rather than trying to follow them. And intersecting lines are okay because our brain is fine with that. But those ones where the angles are just slightly off give our brains the heebie-jeebies. At least it gives my brain the heebie-jeebies. I don't know about you. So what we're going to do to cut this angle, we could do some measuring. We're going to do it old school. So what we're going to do is we're going to line it up so that it matches this one. And we're going to take note of what size of a gap we have down here at the bottom. And then we're going to double it. Just like that. We're just going to slide our DSP up so that we have double the gap. That might be slightly too much gap. There we go. Double the gap. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hold this nice and tight. We've got it centered from side to side. We're just going to flip it over and we're going to trim following the cardstock. And that will give us the angle that we want. Just like that. Easy peasy. Now, we've already done this one. So that means if we take this one and we take this one and we fold them together like a sandwich, so right sides together, and line it up, we can use the first one we cut as a guide. There we go. Now, if you had to cut a whole bunch of these, I wouldn't do it that way. I would still measure off the cardstock. If it's just one extra, it's okay. But the more times that you cut off the unoriginal one, the farther and farther it's going to travel from where you want it to be. It's like playing a game of telephone tag. The message gets wonkier the farther away from the original person you go. Right now we're working on a layout tag, and that's super fun. So we're adding some adhesive to this, and then we can go ahead and stick this centered on the outside panel. Like so. And see there, when we have that sort of, not quite a 90-degree intersection, but it doesn't play tricks with our brain like it would if it was against a weird angle. I know this because I tried cutting it the other way before and my brain went, absolutely not. We are not cutting it this way. And I had to cut a new piece of paper. Yep. Have you ever done that when you're crafting? You put something down on your paper and your brain goes, no way, no how, not going to do it. We are not leaving it like that. You need to make a change. My brain does that all the time, which is probably why it takes me a while to figure out what I'm doing. Now, one of the lovely patterns in this collection is one that has some scenery. Let me see if I can grab a piece of this. There we go. You can see where I've cut out a circle. Don't ever be afraid to cut apart your paper, right? You can always just get more paper. And you can still use other stuff around this. But it's got these little vignettes inside of these little evergreen wreaths. And so I went ahead and I used my Stylish Shapes dies to cut out these circles. Let me just check and see what size of die I used for these. I'm pretty sure it was the second largest. Yes, it was the second largest, which is about 2.5 inches. And I kind of tried to maneuver them around so that I sort of had a nice little bit of the little wreathy bits showing. And I chose 2 different little vignettes. And I kind of liked having these ones on the left because they're both looking this way. And then this little guy's looking this way. We've got some cute little birdies that are stuck in there too. And lovely little trees that kind of go with our background. So we're going to go ahead and stick those on the inside. Add some adhesive to the back. I could use liquid glue, but this is quick. At least it dries quick. And all we're going to do is center these in the panels. I'm not going to add any foam tape because this is the inside of the card. And if you add too much bulk on the inside of your card, it's not going to close very nicely. We're already going to have lots of layers because we've got those outside panels and we've already put 1 piece of DSP on them. Then we've got 4 layers of cardstock going on in here, plus 4 more layers of DSP, plus these circles, you know, so it's adding up. So we're going to try and center those somewhat. There we go, just for a fun little bit of decoration. And then let's bring in our panels. And this is going to sit centered on those 2 panels. So what we want to do is add adhesive to the backs of these angled pieces. So let's flip this over. And we're going to add our adhesive. Like so. You can add as much adhesive as you want. Totally up to you. I think that's fine for me. But what I'm going to do is I'm only going to take the adhesive off of one side to start. Okay, and that's the one that's going to go on this left side. I'm going to fold up my accordion so that I have a nice rectangle here now to do my centering with. And I'm going to center this on the inside of the front panel. Stick it down. And then all I have to do is take the backing off this one, keep it accordion closed, and remember this is going to go like that. So we're going to flip this over, and all we have to do is line it up with the outside edge of our first piece of cardstock, and then just lay it down, make everything stick, doo-doo-doo. And then we have our, oh, I did it wrong. Let's see if I can fix it. I did it wrong. Good thing it's not liquid glue, right? We're going to use our handy dandy adhesive eraser here in a minute. Oh, look at that. It's coming off. Even though I squished it down pretty good, it's coming off not bad. Cross our fingers that the other one's going to come off. It's going to go right back onto the same spot, so it's okay if it pulled there. It'll pull just a little bit, but we don't want to do too much damage. Oops, there's a little bit. Okay, what I was supposed to do, let me grab my eraser. So yes, it was a good thing I didn't use liquid glue. We're going to take this top one along the angle off, because I told you this was going to be a hidden pocket card. And so we need to make some pockets. And as it is, we just closed up our pockets. So now you have a clue as to where the pockets are going to be. There we go. If you have an adhesive eraser, it's very helpful for getting this kind of adhesive off. And even liquid glue, when it's kind of dried, you can work away at it and get it to lift quite nicely. Thank goodness that people make mistakes and learn from their mistakes and create products to help us fix our mistakes, right? Because we all do it. Okay. So what we want to do now is, instead of putting the adhesive across the top where the angle is, we're going to have adhesive across the bottom and adhesive right along the outside edge of each of these panels, the outside panels. Okay, and now we're going to come to this side. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to put adhesive right at the edge. Now, if you put a little tiny bead of liquid glue, you might end up with a little more space in your pocket. I'm kind of a little messy with liquid glue, so I'm not going to risk it. We're going to take our adhesive off. Now that we've already got adhesive in weird places, we're not going to worry about fronts and backs and all that. Okay, so this is our left side. And this is our left side, so we can fold it up. And let's center it again. Like so. Okay. And then again, we're going to close this, because this is the inside of the card in here. We're going to line it up and stick it down. Now, hopefully this time we're not going to be removing it again, so let's make sure it's on there good. And there we go. We have our inside. But now we also have our little hidden pockets. So what's going to go in our pockets? We're going to create a couple little tags to go in our pockets. So I've just got a couple little pieces of basic white cardstock. These are 2 inches by 3.5. And then I've got some of the DSP that is 1 7/8 by 3.25 ish. It's not quite 3.5, that cardstock. I just kind of trimmed it willy-nilly. Now, I would say that if you did the pockets with liquid glue and you were very careful and very skilled, you would end up with little pockets that would hold gift cards. Because I used wider adhesive and it doesn't leave as much room in the pocket, so it may not fit a gift card, that it'll fit my little tags that I'm trying to rip apart now. There we go. Now, you could also make a tag that actually looks more like a tag with a top and a ribbon and all that. I was looking for my hole punch and couldn't find it, so we're just doing a flat top on these so the nice little tags can fit in there. Now, there is still a little bit more room, so yes, I think if you were careful with your glue, you could definitely get a gift card in there, which would be fun because then you would have a nice little gift inside your card. So there's our hidden pockets, and of course this is our centerfold, and we still need to decorate the front. And so on the front, we're going to add a piece of the Pretty Peacock cardstock like we used on the inside. This has been cut to 4 by 5.25. Oh, hi, Carolina. You had not seen this type of card before. Yay. So something new. And we're just going to center this on the front. Like so. Then we're going to bring in another piece of the designer series paper from this collection. It's got lovely little bouquets with ribbons and little berries and evergreens and holly and all sorts of fun things in there. And it's actually the back side of sort of that candy striped textile. And this has been cut to 3.5 by 4 3/4. We're going to center that on the front. Like that. And then I wanted to bring in another circle because we had a couple circles on the inside. And this has been cut using the largest circle. So it's about 3 inches. Yep, 3 inches. And this is using the garden green cardstock. So let's go ahead and add some adhesive to this to kind of create a focal point on the front of the card. And also to give a little break from the patterns, because we're going to add a little bit of embellishing on here. Let's see if we can center it like that. And then from the pattern paper, there's a pattern paper in this collection that has these cute little stockings just stuffed full of presents and evergreens and bows and candy canes. And then on the same sheet of paper, there are sort of vines that are going up like this. And I've gone ahead and fussy cut from the pattern paper 2 of the little vine clusters, as well as there's also little bows. And I've gone ahead and fussy cut that. There is a coordinating stamp set with this collection. I just haven't got mine purchased yet. And so in order to do some embellishing, I thought I would just fussy cut from the pattern paper. When you fussy cut, you want to leave a little halo of the background around your image. And then you can just pivot your paper, go in and out around the edges. You can get as detailed or as undetailed as you want. It's always up to personal preference on that one. And we're just going to go around. I like to use sort of between the connection of my scissors and about 2/3 of the way. I never really cut to the tip unless I'm trying to get in somewhere really, really sharp. And when I open my scissors to start again, I don't take them off my paper. I simply slide my paper as I open my scissors. And I find that that reduces the number of those little jaggedy bits that you sometimes get when you take your scissors off and then reposition them. So I simply open and slide at the same time. And as you kind of practice, you get a little more coordinated with that. This is kind of one of those hand-eye coordination things. And we just go all the way around. Cut out a cute little stocking. And let's grab some mini dimensionals. We're going to add some of those on here to pop up our stocking. We're now working on the outside of the card, so it's okay to add some dimension that we didn't want to add on the inside. There we go. Just take those off. All the little backings. I find when I leave my craft room and I come back, and I leave my craft room and I come back, and then I leave my craft room and I look in the floor in my hallway, which is hardwood, has like little trail of of the dimensional backings going down the hallway, right? Because they just kind of static to everything. So you'll get them static to your sleeve and static to your socks. And so if any of them ever fall on the floor, which they always do, inevitably, yeah, you'll find them making a trail around your house, and you got to go sweep them up. All right, so now our little bows that we fussy cut. I didn't want to do these on camera because it took a hot minute to do that. We're going to add just a little bit of liquid adhesive just in a few spots down sort of the center vine. And we're just going to tuck them under our stocking and stick that to our circle. And then we're going to come and get the other one. Add a couple little dots of glue on that side. And kind of join them. And if you notice, they actually curve, but they kind of make almost like a mirror image. Not exactly, but almost. And I think that kind of looks nice when they kind of cascade on either side. And then our little bow, we're just going to put a little dot of glue kind of where the knot is and add it here on top of our stocking, trailing off the edge, just for a little extra something something. Now, I think this card needs a little bit of bling. What do you say? I think pretty much every card can do with a little bit of bling. So let's grab, you know what, we've got a lot of color going on. So I think we're just going to go with the Rhinestone Basic Jewels. Just to add some bling. And let's grab this guy. We'll maybe put one up there. And then let's grab some little guys. And we'll put a couple down here. And those will kind of balance out the weight that we got here with the bow, to have a couple of those little guys on that side. And doesn't that look fun? Just adds a little bit of bling. Now, I haven't decided 100% on my sentiment. I was looking at the stamp set, the one of a kind, wherever I put it. There we go. And I was thinking of a little something just for you, because we can hide those things in the pockets. Yeah, I think that's the one I'm going to go with. But I hadn't decided how I was going to do this. A little something just for you. That's the one I want. Take that off the carrier sheet. You always want to walk it off nice and gently. Let's grab a stamp block and set it down. Let it relax for a second. Pick it up. Now this is, if I had 3/8 by 3-inch piece, I think I'm going to just go for basic white. 3/8, oh, look at that. That's 3 inches. Scrap piece, look at that. I was coloring something and chopped it off. And then we want 3/8, which is almost 1/2 inch, which is randomly about there, because there's no measurements for that size. We're just doing it random. And I think in terms of color here, we've got the pretty peacock, so that might be nice to bring in because we've got a lot of the garden green going on here. So let's stamp our sentiment in pretty peacock. We could go with cherry cobbler too, but I think we'll do this. If we don't like it, we can just do it again. Ink it up. I'm going to stamp it in the center. A little something just for you. Nice. Close that up. And then decide where it should go. Whether we want it there. You know what the easiest thing is? I find when I'm trying to decide is to use tweezers, because then I can move it around and stick it where I want it. I think I want it down here. Maybe right in the center. And maybe I'll dovetail the ends. Just for fun. So a little snip right in the center. Just a tiny little snip. And then from the outside corner to the top of my snip on either side. Again, a little snip in the center. And then from the outside to the top of the snip, from the outside to the top of the snip. Lovely. And I think we're going to pop that up too, just to make it stand out a little bit from the background. So let's add some mini Stampin' Dimensionals along there. Take those off. Do. Always got to add a little bling to our card. And this sentiment kind of implies that there's a little something in there so that we know to look in the pockets. There we go. Popped it up a little bit. A little something just for you with that fun fussy cut embellishing from the Designer Series paper. We've added that lovely garden green circle. We've got some rhinestones on there for a little bit of shine and sparkle. Layered up with some more of the Designer Series paper, our pretty peacock cardstock, and then that cherry cobbler that brings us through to the inside where we've got more of the pretty peacock. And yes, it does stand up. Kind of like, you know, when you open a magazine, there's a centerfold. Pardon me, still under the weather a bit. And I love those little vignettes with the deer. Isn't that so sweet? Very wintry and wonderlandy and fun. And then, of course, our hidden pockets in there where we can tuck some gift cards or little extra notes. And if you want space to write, then, of course, just add a nice panel on the back, same as the front panel. Just do 4 inches by 5 1/4, basic white. You could even stamp a little something on there, put another one of the sentiments, and that will give you lots of room to write, or you can tuck your message into one of the pockets. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing those hidden pocket centerfold card pieces all come together to create a fun card. And if you create a card like this, be sure to snap a photo and put it in the comments when I post the picture of my photo, or post the pictures of my card, and then we can all see and be inspired by your creation as well. All right, have a wonderful evening and hope to see you starting tomorrow at our online crop, Canada's Big Landmarks. All right, have a great night. Toodaloo. Bye.